What's up, y'all? Welcome back to Rooted in Nature. It is finally April, which is planting time here. And in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you 30 things you can actually be planting in April. Okay, so before we get to this video, don't forget to like and subscribe because I would love for y'all to come along with me as I grow my food, and I'd love to share with y'all how I grow my food. Okay, so I have a list right here because I couldn't remember 30 things and I just wanted to be on point. So anyway, so the first thing you can actually be planting in April. Now, you can only plant this if you are past your last frost date and there's no frost in the forecast. So as long as you're past your last frost date, you're good to plant. So the first one is actually tomatoes. So here's a tomato plant right here I started. It's the Italian Roma tomato plant. So tomatoes, they love heat, and so you don't want to get them out too early. But I always plant me an early batch, and then if they die, I always have backups. And what I mean don't plant out too early is because my potatoes, I didn't plant them out too early. I planted them out on time. But we did have an unexpected frost, and look at the leaves. Now, it did not kill them, it just damaged them. So you can see this one's perfectly fine. This one's not. I didn't do no covering. If you're new here, I don't cover nothing in my garden. Heat or frost, I don't cover nothing. The next thing you can be planting is peppers. I have my peppers right here. I started. These are lunchbox peppers. It's 6 plants. Looking phenomenal. So that's peppers. The next thing you can be planting is actually watermelon, which I don't have any starts because I'm planting them soon. I'm starting them soon, so stay tuned for that video. Cantaloupe, honeydew melon, all right there, watermelon. They like the heat, but they don't need too much heat. And don't think because the name is watermelon that you need to drench that thing down. Especially when it has fruit on the vine, because you can actually give it too much water and the fruit can actually split and everything. So you don't want to give it too much water, but this is the time I plant all my stuff. Now, I'm not telling nobody to plant y'all stuff out. I'm just telling y'all what I'm doing and what I'm planting in April. Next thing is actually squash and zucchini. So I'm going to say squash, zucchini, loofah, and birdhouse gourds. They're all going to look like this when they come up. So these right here are actually loofah plants. I got to come through and thin, but so I'm planting loofah this year for the first time. I never planted loofah before, so we will see how it goes. Can't wait for that journey. Now, the next thing is cucumbers. Now, this is my cucumbers right here, and I have a bunch more plants than what I'm showing y'all. I have a ton. I think I have like 15 flats of plants. But this right here is cucumbers. Now, cucumbers, they love the summer, the spring. You want to get them in the ground. I have a ton of space. I plant my cucumbers right out here. And I actually added on more space this year over here. So we're going to have a bunch of space to plant stuff. So, yep. Now, the next thing on the list is actually basil. So we have basil right here. Now, this got a little leggy and it's flopped over. But I'll plant it a little deep and it will perk right back up. But anyway, basil, I plant my basil with my tomatoes and stuff. I plant them all out. I'm going to be planting out all these soon. So now when it comes to herbs, most herbs can take cool temperatures. And those are dill, chamomile, parsley, and oregano, and thyme. So I'm going to tell y'all 31 because I didn't have that on the list, but thyme also. I can show y'all my thyme and chamomile. So right here is my thyme. I just up-hied it, so it don't look the best, but here's my thyme. It's lemon thyme. And right here, all this is chamomile. So I don't know if y'all can see, but we have little buds right there. Let's see if I can zoom in. Right there, see those little buds? So we're about to have chamomile soon. So spring is it's really happening, y'all. It's really happening. But anyway, those all can take the heat. Those chamomile have been growing ever since, I think, October or something. Before the frost, before the first average frost date, which is back in November. They've been growing since before then. They actually survived all through the summer. I mean, thinking about summer. All through the winter snowy blast the U.S. had or whatever. They survived. There was snow actually piled on top of them. And when it melted, they stood right back up. So, I'm keeping this chamomile in my garden. Now, the next thing on the list, I'm going to give y'all some flowers. So, we have marigolds, sunflowers, celosia, bachelor button, zinnia, vincas, and basically any other flower. Any other warm season flower can be planted in April. Now, I don't plant a lot of flowers. I plant way more vegetables than flowers. But I would recommend y'all plant flowers because they bring in the pollinators. Now, I'm going to plant my vegetables before I plant flowers, only because I have pollinators all around. Plenty of pollinators, to the point I think sometimes I have too many pollinators. But anyway, I have a bunch of flowers I started though, so any space we have, I'm going to plant them. Any space a vegetable plant's not there, a flower's getting put there. So my whole garden's going to be full. Anyway, moving on. You can be planting, now I'm not planting this, but you can be planting your pumpkins. They're also going to look like the squash. But you can be planting your pumpkins. Now, if you haven't got your bulbous onions in, it might be too late, but you never know. Try, experiment. Because, trust me, I got all these onions over here. All these onions over here were in late. And, well, we're going to see what happens. Because we don't know what happens in our garden. We're just going off of, it's too late, it's too late. That's just going off of what we hear from the research, and that's not in our garden though. So you want to do stuff yourself. But you can also plant spring onions or green onions. Spring onions and green onions are the exact same thing. And you can plant your bulbous onions for green onions. Just use the top. Or you don't have to not use the tops, but you can pull the whole thing up when it don't bulb and just use that. Now, next is your potatoes. If you hadn't got them in, you might want to get them in. I get mine in March. Now, it all depends where you live. If you live in a warm climate, you might want to go ahead and get them in before it is too late. Because they actually die out in the summer. And that's how I tell when my potatoes are ready. Now, you can plant radish. Some people say don't plant them during the summer. Yet last year, I planted my radish underneath my corn and used my corn as like shade. And I got plenty of radish. Eggplants, that's part of the nightshades with peppers and tomatoes. Plant them all out at the same time when it's warm enough. And I plant my peppers out a little later sometimes. Most people plant them out, your peppers out later than your eggplants and tomatoes. But I usually plant them all out at the same time. I don't really see a difference. Now, my last two things is corn and green beans. That has been up for discussion in my garden. Now, they're going in my garden. I just don't know when and where. But that's been one of the biggest words or vegetables that's kept coming up when I look at my garden. I'm thinking, where am I going to put my corn and my green beans? Just a little reminder, corn, it needs to be in like a block so it can pollinate each other. And you know, each little silk on the corn is one kernel. So you want to make sure the silks get full of those tassels at the top. I think that's what they're called. But anyway, so y'all, that's going to be the end of the video here. I hope you enjoyed this video. That was 31 things you can actually be planting in your garden in April. And same will be for May. So, except a couple extra things in May. So, stay tuned for that video. But if you hadn't already, don't forget to like and subscribe. And I will see y'all on the next video. Bye, y'all.